Some of us may be wondering how we can use our critical thinking. It may sound intimidating for many of us, but it's actually not. In chapter 1 of book, Harvey Sagler explained what critical thinking is and how it's works. In critical thinking, before you form a judgment, you have you have to analyze and evaluate the problem first. You also need to consider the two acts, absorbing the information and putting that information in good use. First, before you jump into conclusion, you have to gain some credible and legitimate information connecting to your problem. You cannot just believe what others say without proving it. With credible information, credibility is important in critical thinking, as it serves as your guide before you form a correct judgment. Second, you have to use that information in a good way. You cannot just form a judgment without reading and observing your source correctly. You need to understand it and see if it supports your judgment. After Saglers explained what critical thinking is, he explains the 3 steps on how to use independent thinking in chapter 2. Number 1. Consider the motive of the speaker. Considering the motive of the speaker is crucial because it helps you evaluate the credibility and potential bias of their message. Understanding their intention can reveal whatever they typing to inform, persuade, manipulate, or devise you, allowing you to approach the information with appropriate skepticism of trust. Number 2. Consider the source of information. Considering the source of information is important because it helps you assess its reliability, credibility, and potential biases. Knowing after information comes from allow you to evaluate whether it's from a reputable source, whether it's based on facts or opinions, and whether they might be underlying agendas or conflict of interest. This helps you make informed decisions and avoid spreading misinformation. Number 3. Watch out for the things that are obvious. Watching for things that obvious helps you to avoid overlooking important details or failing into traps. Sometimes what seems obvious at first glance can provide valuable insight, alert you to potential risks, or highlight key aspects that may have been initially disregarded. Being attentive to obvious can enhance decision-making and problem-solving process by ensuring that all relevant factors are taken into account.
The benefits of problem-solving skills. It is said that our critical thinking is one of the aspects we use most in our lives. By thinking critically, we solve problems as every person on this planet has their own. Problems won't just go away by just simply waiting for it to pass by. Thinking before you make decisions is the best way to have an example for this problem solving. The book that holds information about problem solving and critical thinking says there is almost a robotic movement that is going on here, and it's one of that doesn't aid in the realm of critical thinking. We glance through the solution on the internet, then we close our computer and go on with our day. There is no lesson learned, and nothing that can be applied to another situation, which really explains itself that when you don't solve problems by thinking critically on your own way, you will have nothing. One of the lines that hits was that you are faced with decisions all day long, and without the necessary skills to solve them, how are we going to progress in life? It's like saying that how are we going to progress in life when we can do things as simple as making decisions while thinking correctly. Don't just look at the problem or decision you have to fix. Analyze it. Those are real life problems, and there are things that Google will never know the answer to, even if you are asked 1,000 times. This is why you need to develop your own problem-solving skills, which is largely sourced in critical thinking. In Chapter 4, there is a list of several incredible critical thinkers in our history. There are two primary things that all of these men, Isaac Newton, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and Buddha, along with the rest of critical thinkers in history, all have in common. If you choose to study any one of them individually, you won't have to look very hard before you see that they were deep thinkers, were independent thinkers. There is it again if you notice that the word independent, the entire core of the idea of critical thinking is that it is independent. As of this chapter, it's been said that the ability to solve and understand the solution to a problem is key in learning how to use critical thinking to solve our other life problems.
In this chapter, the author discusses the importance of critical thinking and in ancient times. It focuses on Socrates, an ancient philosopher and thinker. Socrates taught his students to ask questions, challenging them to think critically and question their own beliefs. He encouraged students to think about why they felt the way they did and whether their conclusions were on track. Socrates aimed for a society of thinkers, where each person brought their own skill to the table rather than just giving answers. This approach can help us not to lose the art of critical thinking in today's society, as it encourages individuals to think critically and question their own beliefs. We can use his method to broaden our perceptions by not just believing anything that is being given to our senses. Instead, we seek for the truth ourselves and does not rely on hearsay. We ask ourselves these questions. Why do you mean by? How does this relate to our discussions? What do you think is the main issue? Could you expand upon that point further? Note, these are guide questions based on the Socratic method.
Chapter 6: How to Avoid Being a Target Audience. Have you noticed that products and brands have certain marketing that they say about their product or company? It's a way for them to briefly describe what they're advertising to the consumers in a short and catchy way for them to remember it by. This is a kind of marketing that often tells how much better a consumer's life would be after they buy a product. For example, a promise of brighter teeth, smooth hair, and beauty. This is a way for them to subconsciously make you want to buy their product, making it seems like an essential to live a happy life. As seen in their commercial with all the smiling people and acting that everything is great after buying the product. But in reality, after the high of the purchase and the hopes for the product, you then use it and you may have noticed some effects or even none. But in the end, everything is still the same. This is a marketing strategy for them to make you think that you need their product even though you don't. If you have experienced similar things like this, then you have been part of a target audience. Now, if you ask yourself, how can I avoid being a part of a target audience? Well, here are some things, a list of questions that you can answer that can get you started to help you avoid being a target audience. Number one, what is the marketing of this item? Number two, what is the company behind this item? Number three, am I happy now without this item? Number four, do I think that I need this item? Number five, is this an impulse buy? Number six, can I live without this item? Number seven, will it make it happy? Number eight, who am I trying to impress? Number nine, will I regret it? And number 10, should I be using the money elsewhere?
The conclusion of the book, Critical Thinking, Powerful Strategies to Improve Decision and Think Smarter, emphasizes the importance of developing critical thinking skill in all aspects of life. It encourages reader to make informed decisions, evaluate evidence objectively, and avoid mental filter. The ultimate goal is to help readers become more observant, analytical thinkers, making sound decisions in personal and professional life. One of the example of critical thinking from that could be the process of evaluating sources of information before forming an opinion or making decision. The books offer techniques for analyzing news articles that help readers make reasonable choices rather than careless ones. These techniques include determining the reliability of the source, identifying opinions, and comparison.
Chapter 7, Breaking the Cycle of Becoming Your Own Person. Society in general is a mindless substance. People go through their days doing what they're told to do, with little thought of why they're doing it. They don't ever think of bettering themselves or trying to do anything new. In short, making decisions for yourself can lead you to different paths with a better outcome. Making wise decisions can get through on asking yourself 3 times of why questions. Your life is not nearly as fulfilling as could be, and all you have to do is you change it and figure out what you want in life. You are not stuck. You can make a change anytime you want. Some things that may be right for other people may be not right for you. When you take the time to find out what you believe about things and how you personally feel about it, then life takes a whole new meaning. When you are able to forge your own way of life, you are able to find out you help more people than yourself. Chapter 8, Practical Ways to Implement Critical Thinking in Your Life, Thinking Your Own Life. Stop mindlessly gathering informations. Go on and start analyzing truth for yourself. You can get an advice to other people and polish your own opinion. But do not make a habit of basing to what other people says. Be a skeptic. Questions are meant to be asked to emphasize your own understanding in everything. Especially accepting anything is a big movement on enhancing your negative side. Saying no should be considered as a normal thing. What is true for one person may not be true for you. The fact of the matter is both of them are right. There is really no wrong to find out what is true for you. You just need to do what makes you happy. Think. You need to think. No matter what you're doing, don't get stuck in what mindlessness. You need to think.